I slept, ain't gonna appear, we were there for 6 months. I slept inside the wire once on a cot, and we were hit that only night. It's the only time I'd had my boots off in 6 months. And I remember we had to go out, and one of our observation posts was blown up. And I remember I had put on someone else's boots. They were size 9. Let's see, Bill Spagnola was his name, from Philadelphia. Yeah, remember that real well. That was sometime around December '69, I think. That was kind of strange. Remember going up and finding the guys at the observation post. They'd been hit with RPGs and were burned and whatever. I was dragging a Quick 25 radio. That's 25 pounds of battery and lead. When we're calling in a medevac. I remember arriving top of a hill, and Viet Cong were still up there, and the two of us had made it up, and they were just terrified to see we were there that early. I remember, and for that I was written up for a Silver Star, as I remember, and that write-up is still sitting in my 201 file, unprocessed. And I'd like to think, well, I should have that Silver Star. I could go down to the, VFW and try to lay it on the counter, and of course I could buy one on eBay, and ask for free drinks. And then I think of my squad leader, Bill Eckert. Last time I'd seen Bill is we put him on they call the Army people call him slicks, a Huey. And we had his legs on a poncho next to him. He had his legs blown off, and his hand was barely holding on. You'll see a few articles on Veterans Today. He worked for the VA. He survived, which I'm quite amazed at. But died at 61 while working on his son's car and talking to me on the phone. Died of a heart attack. Of the people that come, well, at least I'd like to think that our maimed and disabled veterans are being treated better, because the ones from Vietnam, so many of those who filled the hospitals. I remember in 1970 going into the VA hospital in Ann Arbor, and I had chloracne from Agent Orange exposure. These are sores. I had an eardrum blown out. I had a weeping wound on my right side from having a piece of metal from an American bomb go into my intestines, and it didn't heal right. And I get in there, and I look around, and even through the lobby, people are sleeping. Homeless World War II vets are in the lobby. You look up and down the halls, there are Vietnam veterans with amputees living on gurneys all the way into the kitchen. I went up to ear, nose, and throat to have my ear looked at, and I got off the elevator. There were double amputees living on hospital gurneys, and I can smell when people are dying of gangrene. They were dying up in ear, nose, and throat. There was filth everywhere, bugs. The staff were there smoking, sitting around. I do admit that the doctors at ear, nose, and throat gave me a glass of scotch, which I appreciate. But it was the most filthy place I've ever been in my life. I have no idea how many veterans were being, Vietnam veterans, were being warehoused there, but a couple of hundred that didn't even have beds. I don't think any of them survived. They all had infections. You could see this. They were all dying. They had overflowing urine bags. There was trash all over the place. The floors were filthy. I remember for my chloracne, they offered to give me some sort of hydrocortisone medication, and they were going to put me in a hotel overnight. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon because they couldn't get my prescription that day. I was up at Michigan State, probably about 40 miles away. This was Ann Arbor. They were going to keep me overnight to give me a prescription that they just had to pull off the shelf and throw in a bag. But, and of course they were sitting in chairs in the, excuse me here, in the pharmacy smoking and reading magazines and couldn't get to dealing with veterans. Now, I'll say things improved, although things stayed that way and actually got worse for a while during the Bush 43 administration when he stripped the VA bare of employees. Now it's marginally better in some areas, much better in others. The Veteran Suicide Hotline, and I'm glad you brought this up, if you're a veteran and you have difficulty, call the hotline. And I should get the number for that here.
Now, let me ask you, Gordon. I don't think this election is going to solve anything. I mean, we basically everybody's been.
Let me give that number here, by the way, for veterans.
Go ahead.
The Veterans Crisis Line, and really call the Veterans Crisis Line. 1-800-273-8255, and when you get on, press 1. 1-800-273-8255. If you are having problems, and if you're a veteran and not having problems, I'm surprised. But
I've got to ask you about that. I mean, I think if you're a veteran and you don't have post-traumatic stress syndrome, then you're really sick. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I do a fair amount of traveling, and you know, it's two things. Is you know, the transportation security, TSA. You know, I am generally not treated badly by the TSA. Last time I came in from Nigeria, I got a serious search, but they were polite. I have more difficulty with some foreign countries. Jordan was really bad. I've had one bad experience in France. I was traveling with Colonel Ricordan, the commanding officer of the Sûreté, and was grabbed by a security officer. What a mistake, you know. I believe he's sweeping sewers right now somewhere in Marseille. But you know, failure to recognize, you know, but that was you know, one of those rare opportunities. But there are, you know, so many countries have gotten crazier than we are, certainly. I don't go to Canada anymore. I live, you know, a few miles from the Canadian border. My family, the Duffs, are one of the families, the original pioneering families that settled in Ontario. You know, we were loyalists. We fled to Canada, but we helped establish the city of Windsor. We helped establish the city of Hamilton, of Toronto. We ran the fur trading business in Ontario for a while, till maybe 1820. Literally, we ran the post out of, you know, it's Duff House, the fur trading post on the river is a museum now, and it's called Duff House. But it's the oldest building in Ontario. And I go over there and I'm treated well. And then when I try to drive back into the United States over the bridge, I will tell you, you could get in and out of North Korea easier than you can get in and out of the United States. And my windshield says U.S. Department of Defense on it. I carry a retiree ID. I've got an interesting looking passport with extra pages in it, lots of stamps. You know, I work as a defense contractor, and coming in and out, the airport's not as bad, but coming across the border in Windsor, you don't go to Canada. Yeah, North Korea is much easier. I could fly in and out of Iran easier. And it's U.S. Customs, and people hate us. This last week last Friday, Imran Khan, who is one of my friends, contributor at VT, he will be the next president of Pakistan. He's a moderate. He's their Ron Paul. And learn about Imran Khan. He's a character. He's a brilliant guy, decent guy, tells nothing but the truth, stands up to the United States, which I think we need to do. He does what we need to do. And if you learn who he is, I'll tell you as an American, if he were running for President of the United States, we'd all vote for him. He's, you know, a good friend.
We have one person running for office here that I know personally, that I've been in his office, that backed me for starting the militias in New Mexico, and that is Gary Johnson, former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson. And I believe if he was elected and abolished the laws against victimless crimes, legalized marijuana, legalized hemp, we could turn this country around. You got any opinions on that? Frankly, I don't care. I don't care whether you smoke it or not. I don't care. You know, we got 10,000 products out of it. The Bible calls it the plant of renown.
That 65% of the people we have in jail can be released. 65% of the people in jail are in jail because they weren't millionaires. Victimless crimes. They need to be out of prison. We need our prisons taken away from private corporations. Our state prison systems need to be overseen. We have the worst prisons and jails of almost any country on earth. I think Mexico's are better. I was reading an article about from one of the two Jewish hikers that were picked up and imprisoned in Iran for 8 months or whatever, and one of them ended up in a U.S. jail for a couple of days, and he said he missed the jails in Iran because he was treated better and it was much nicer. If you're going to get locked up, apparently, go to Iran. They'll put you in jail, and it'll be a big improvement.
Well, let's talk about Iran for a minute. I've got a link up right at the top of my site now that gives you a little bit of the history of Iran, of how we backed the Shah, how we gave Saddam Hussein the weapons of mass destruction to kill 800,000 Iranians, and our press, our mainstream media, which is our biggest problem following the banksters.
I call it. Let's see. What do I call it? The pop culture media now. I'm being generous. Try that one. Say it. Pop culture media.
Pop culture media. Yes.
Yes, you'll like that. It's what it is. Because it's not news. It's conspiracy theory, mythology. It's stuff people make up. I find I can't even believe the weather reports. I'm beginning to distrust the sports scores. The rest of it is worse. But you can't.
It's why I started the Free American in the first place. And when the media tries to convince you that it's okay to kill 17 little children to save them from a child molester, there's something wrong with that media.
Well, I think the issue I have with child molesters is that they don't appear to be fixable. What makes me sorry of two things, of course, is that having sent children to religious schools.
Well, there was no child molester.
I made it very clear to the priests that if there's any kind of problem at all, Dad will come across and your head will be on a stake in the driveway. And I think I explained that clearly enough.
Yes,
I will cut your head off, and it will be on a stake in the driveway, and I'll deal with the consequences. And that's, I think, and it's taking a long. Let me tell you a little about where we live. We had a group of Jesuits here in Toledo, Ohio, 7 priests that had formed a satanic coven. In 1982, they murdered a nun. The leader of the coven was oh God, it's not Gerald Miller. Is it Gerald Miller? I mean, yeah. He's going to life in prison, but had murdered a nun during a black mass in the chapel at Mercy Hospital in Toledo. This is an 80-year-old nun, had her, what do nuns wear? What do we call that? A habit.
Habit, yeah.
Had it pulled over her head, had stabbed her in the form of an inverted cross. Toledo, priest, nun, killing. Let's see what it comes up here. Priest found guilty of nun's murder in 1980, New York Times. It took our cold case squad, Gerald Robinson. A priest was found guilty on Thursday of murdering a nun 26 years ago, and when another priest was a ritual intended to defile the nun. Well, this same group had molested up to 300 children, and only this one priest was arrested. It took 26 years to get him because the police, the prosecutors, and judges had protected him, although they knew that he was guilty. They are still protecting the rest of the coven, and it's a satanic group that runs the Catholic Church here in Toledo, Ohio. They run 2 rather large schools. We have a very large Polish population here. The number of children molested here is in the thousands and thousands. Ireland actually has thrown the Catholic Church out of the country because they ran the social services there. To a large extent, in Germany, the Catholic Church runs many of the schools, hospitals, and oddly enough, I have a wine importing business. I actually represent the German Department of Social Work, which is managed by the church. If you were to buy wine from the German Red Cross or from the Nicholas Kuss wineries established in the 1400s, I'm the negotiator on that. But
I've got some articles.
It's just the Catholics. I was in Grand Rapids. We had I remember one of our. That's a very, very Bible Belt town. I remember one guy in Muskegon had put his twin sons into a smelter because he thought that they had started speaking in voices. It was not atypical, but people that get involved in, we'll say, serious religion. Here's my opinion, Clay, and heaven forbid people are going to hate this, but I feel that people get involved in religion because they can't deal with death. Supposedly in grief, there are steps to grief. One of them is where people negotiate. Well, you can't negotiate grief without having someone to negotiate with, and that's why we invented, I believe anyway, it's why people invented God, so that they would have someone to negotiate with. If I stop eating chicken, you're going to bring back my Rottweiler. That's negotiation.
Let me ask you on that subject here. Let me ask you something here. I feel like we're at war, and maybe as they said a few thousand years ago, it's a war of principalities. But I've got some links on my site that talk about Satanism is the oldest religion on this planet, and that there's a secret war on humanity by Satan. And I don't think I'm not believing in Satan any more than I am a God that looks like Charlton Heston.
Clay, Satanists run every organized religion in the United States.
That's right. And whether
John Hagee is a Satanist. I'm not going to talk about the Pope. They won't let me in Germany if I do. I can't say he's a Satanist. But if Vatican Secretary, the former Vatican Secretary of State, since he's dead, Malachi Martin, said that the Catholic Church was taken over by Satanists in the 1960s. He was Vatican Secretary of State for Pope John the 23rd, who was considered the best pope in the last 1,500 years.
Eustace Mullins called it a war against Christianity. And, I've got it up on my website right at the top of the page above my books, which I still recommend people read or buy or order. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from me direct. You can get signed copies. I've got them in stock. Mystery Babylon, the New World Order Unveiled, is available. And I've got at the top of my site, you figure Satan gave the keys of his kingdom to someone since Christ refused it. So who did the keys to Satan's kingdom go to? Simple.
They went to Constantine and were passed on to the founders of the church.
Yeah, whoever serves him best. You know, you can call yourself an elephant all day long, but does it mean that you are one? So
why do you think we had the Dark Ages? The worst part of this is that there are, within the religious community, there are a lot of very wonderful people. And, however, within the religious community, I mean, my favorite really religious person is Mark Seljander, for instance, former UN ambassador. Wait a minute, Mark's in federal prison now. Oh, yeah. And Mark is the most kind, honest, and decent person I've ever met. And they locked him up. Why is he locked up? Because he went to President Bush 43 and told him he had bad intelligence on Iraq weapons of mass destruction. They waited about 2 years and charged him, a former congressman, former UN ambassador, a neocon, by the way, an extremely, religious person, a religious fundamentalist, and very close to that community in the U.S. They charged him with 50 counts of terrorism. And what they accused him for was his affiliation with the Islamic American Relief Association in Missouri. Now, this is what I like. And then, of course, Barry Schlossman, the assistant U.S. attorney in Missouri, that was his big terror arrest, to break up the IARA in Missouri. Let me tell you something, guys, and I think you know why I know this. The IARA, the Islamic American Relief Association, is a CIA front, always has been, as are a couple of wildlife funds and an awful lot of other things. The real CIA doesn't, it isn't somebody sitting in an office in Langley driving past all those cameras that see every face, then heading down to the airport to, fly around the world to pick up a secret document at the tree, that's got the white chalk mark on it. The CIA is a bunch of non-governmental organizations, charities, businesses, reporters, certainly, journalists. But,
how about CNN? We always refers to that as the Communist News Network.
CNN is the Mossad. It's not.
Now, who do? Okay, well, hold on, Gordon. I want to get some direct answers on questions here. What? Who controls the? Is the CIA?
Always give direct answers.
Is the CIA controlled by the Mossad, or is the Mossad controlled by the CIA? Does the government control the mafia, or does the mafia control the government? And
the mafia controls the government. It controls all world government. The mafia is not Italian, so I'm calling it mafia. It's not even all Jewish. They're the most powerful world organized crime groups happen to be Jewish, but they aren't all Jewish. There are, Italians, some, Austrian, German,
we've got
an awful lot of Americans at the highest levels, a lot of people from Central America. A rather large number of Mormons are at the highest levels of organized crime. The CIA is heavily infiltrated by organized crime. That's true, but as an organization,
Let me call you right back.
Okay.
No, not you, Gordon. Hang on a minute. I'm doing a live radio show here. Excuse me. It's just, all right. All right, go ahead, Gordon. Let's, we've got we're almost out of time. Let's wrap this up. Again, my guest today is Gordon Duff, Veterans Today. The links to that are on my site. And go ahead. Let's finish this up. Gordon Duff.
Damning the CIA in its entirety is probably wrong. Saying that the CIA is run by the Mossad, because even the Mossad, it isn't the problems that people have. They think they have with Israelis or Jews or whatever is not the Mossad. The real Mossad are professional intelligence people who will do good or bad things based on how stupid they are to take orders from politicians. Well, the real Mossad is sick of taking orders. They're not a bunch of idiots, and they're not all horrible people. It's not the Mossad, it's AIPAC and the ADL and the SPLC and the news and other groups that are all pretending to be the Mossad. And our organized news pretends it's the Mossad. The real Mossad is not a pack of idiots, nor is IDF intelligence is not a pack of idiots, nor are they actually in general bad people. So it's not them. Those are professional people. And anybody in the intelligence business, the real intelligence business, we all know each other, we all talk, even Mossad. And they're not who it is. It's the politicians, gangsters, and thieves. And they run everything. And they would have the intelligence community act as their slaves and commit crimes for them. And it's for people in the intelligence community to resist that.
All right.
And not be slaves.
Gordon, we're looking for the good guys. We're looking for help,
You aren't going to find any good guys. There are very few people with any courage in this world, Clay. And if you do have courage, Clay, what happens to you?
Well, you get put in hospital, run a $750,000 hospital bill run up for 3 broken ribs. Go figure,
Or you get put in a mental hospital, or you are put in prison. Or you will die of starvation somewhere. You speak up enough, unless you can walk on a razor blade. Welcome to that world.
All right. Gordon Duff, thank you for being with me, and I'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Clay.
God bless. And folks, you can help by making a donation to clay@freeamerican.com. Go to my website, click on the donation button, make a donation any size, and get a book. Your choice. 3 of them finished, working on 2 more. God bless you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll have John Kaminsky on tomorrow.